Graças. Slow down. Hey, Tom, and welcome everybody. You're muted. Muted. On. You gotta unmute yourself, Tom.
Oh, I guess you had me default at mute.
Everyone gets muted on the way in just because it's good
Yep.
practice.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Tom.
Hello, good morning,
Morning.
wherever you are. Or I guess you're in my time zone, so
It's
good
close to
morning.
noon. It's 11 here. So.
Everyone, you guys
Hi,
are all in the
Isaias.
same time zone.
Hey,
Yeah.
how are you?
There's the odd one out.
I hope everyone's doing well. I saw Chunji in the chat. Oh, let's see who else from. Oh, someone from Japan. Awesome. What
Ooh.
time is it in Japan?
Yeah.
You know, it's weird, but I don't very frequently talk to people in Japan. Like I've hit a lot of Asia, China, India, you know, but I
not
don't know why.
Japan. Yeah.
Must not like me on average. I don't know.
Joe, I just have to complete something for a client and be muted and camera off for a few minutes, but I'll be back.
Tell them I said hi.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's doing well. The Zoom chat is in here if you want to join Zoom and ask a question. And the person from Japan, I would love to say hi to your name, but yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Let me go get Emma real quick. She'll read it.
Is she learning Japanese?
Yeah, she knows Japanese, how to read and speak.
What?
Yeah. It's like Cantonese or no, that's Chinese. I forget. She knows like there's two writing forms. I can't remember what the one that's like really hard to do.
Yeah.
She knows that too, pretty at least somewhat.
Oh, the kanji or something.
Kanji,
like that?
yeah, where it's like every word has its own like symbol.
Character, yeah. It is kind of like it's very similar to Chinese in that sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But the other one, which is the hiragana, is the one that is kind of like the most commonly used, yeah.
So does anyone have any questions that they want to start on before a guy shows up? Chunji, are you going to join Zoom? I'm curious. I mean, maybe I know you said before, I think you're at work or something, or you're starting work. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Let's see, it's been, you know, pretty busy couple of weeks. We've been working on our objects course. We're getting close, obviously, and I keep bugging Isaias in the sense of we're getting a lot of people to sign up on the Automator, which they shouldn't be signing up yet because there's really nothing there. But we're going to be selling the course on the Automator, and it's interesting how many people or bots, I'm not sure, are coming in.
There is, I doubt. Yeah. Yeah, it happens.
I was going to show you Isaias earlier. I'm like, there was like 30 this morning, you know, of just like the whole page was littered with today of stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh, right.
A lot of it's, you know, bot and automation. Here's Tom.
Yeah, I have both our chats open. I always do.
Love HK. Awesome. Yeah, so do we. We'll call him Godzilla from Japan, right?
Godzilla.
Or if you wanna type in something that we could actually have for a name for you.
Mr. Godzilla. I love AHK. It's all right, I guess.
It's all right. Yeah.
I mean, I only have a channel for AHK.
Only, nothing else.
You know, like I said, it's one of the things. It would change my life, right? Like that's what got me into really making the videos and doing the stuff. Was it truly changed my life, made it so much easier and better. And then I really enjoyed helping other people, you know, and then, you know, turned it in where I made some good money with it too. Don't get me wrong, but it's more about which actually that's something, and I don't know if I have the link. I think I have a pretty link for it. I wanted to get, and I'll try to update it up here above my head here in a minute. I want to get feedback from people who've either like watched my videos, gone through the Udemy courses or whatever of how has it helped you. And I'm going to start printing them out and putting them on the wall behind me just to, because it makes, I'm sure Tom's the same way. When you get an email or a comment and people tell you how you've helped them change their life of like making it so much easier, it's such a rewarding feeling.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is.
Even if it's something like simple or small, like it still feels good regardless of the size or complexity of it. Plus I learned something new a lot of times too that I didn't even know. I learned something yesterday that I was very shocked by, that you could use AutoHotkey to, so like this guy wanted to download a bunch of stuff. So he had like all the URLs, like the static URLs to download the, you know, the install file or whatever he was doing. And he wanted to know how to run them. So I was like, oh, you could just use a run command. But then I think it was like Throttle Monkey or whatever his username is. He was like, you can actually in your run command add another line or let me pull that up real quick and see what it said again. It was /silent. And it will just automatically install in the background without you needing to click like, you know, install on desktop, install this path. It'll just take whatever the defaults are and just run in the background and install the program for you. And I was like, I never knew you could do that. So like, even to this day, like I learned like the most random things. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I've never seen anybody ever use that before, because it's not going to be in the AutoHotkey forms. It's not going to be in, you know, like the documentation, because it's not really technically AutoHotkey. It's just you're telling the computer to silently run it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's part of the core.
But I
So
think, hold on. So what you're saying is running a program or installer with the silent switch on it? Because I think that depends on the program, because there are some programs that have the /silent and others have /quiet. So I think it would depend on the program, and your AutoHotkey program, you can also do that, because you can check what parameters were passed to that script. And if the silent parameter was passed, you could do things without actually notifying the user about it. You can move files, install files and stuff like that without having, you know, Windows and stuff like that. So
yeah, the install is cool.
Yeah.
I've never had a reason to do it, but I was like, hey, that could be useful in the future to know. I never thought about that being part of the, you know, the switch for the core there. So yeah, I just threw it in the chat of basically what it looks like. The second file pass kind of redundant since you're already calling upon it in the first part, but whatever, you got to put it there.
Right.
Yeah. It's a quiet day, apparently.
I like to, I launch mine as noisy. I use a /noisy.
So it makes like a
pops-ups. I want my installer with ads and
yeah, you know what, that would be like the verbatim, or sorry, the verbose option in most programs that then starts asking you, do you want to do this? Yes or no? And then you have to click yes. And then the other one, like, do you want to install that one also? Then you have to click yes on that one too. So it is like, it depends what you want to do.
You got to be careful, because, you know, I know there's all those programs you download where, yeah, they're like, also, you know, do you want to download this other program? And it's technically an ad. It's like,
yeah.
Isn't Java like with one of the notorious ones, right? When you do the Java update, it says, hey, do you want to install what
this
is
other thing too.
and it's a total ad, terrible, crappy. I forget what.
Yeah,
But I'm like,
yeah.
ask, is that what it is? Like ask something. Anyway, I don't know. But yeah. But now back to your point, Tom. Isaias and I have, I know with Jackie and I, we've been talking about this forever of like, have a coding buddy that you talk to. And part of it is just this whole thing, like you said, like I'm the same, we're all the same way, right? We're always learning stuff from different, because no one knows everything, right? And as much as Isaias, he's far above me in a programming level, we still, when we interact with each other, we both end up learning little things because we think differently, we know different stuff. And just because he'll go to explain something to me, he'll be like, hey, this isn't quite working. And then he'll start talking about it. And then that process of explaining it often gets your brain to realize like the answer.
Right. And I think that has nothing to do with how much you know about a topic. It also has to do with you're focused on something. You stop thinking about other things. But when you're talking to somebody, kind of like just explaining it to that person takes you out of your focus and allows you to kind of like think about other things that you were not thinking about.
And if you have nobody to talk to at the moment, there's rubber duck coding. You get a little
yeah, the rubber duck, yes. The rubber duck allows you to do that, yeah.
But people often want to try to shortcut it and pretend they're talking to it. And what I've learned is like, no, you actually have to voice. You can't even think the words. You have to speak it, right? So you have to force yourself to sound. And the other thing I've realized, because I'm on with like Isaias and Maestriath a lot, when I'm working with them, they are literally, whether I'm in the room or not, they're talking out loud what they're doing often, right? It's not just to tell me what they're doing. That's what they do while they're coding. And it's one thing I've really learned of like, it helps, it helps you kind of your brain work.
Yeah. No, at my old job, I think people probably thought I was a little kooky in my head.
Well, we all think that, Tom.
They're right in a sense, but I would be at my desk and I wouldn't be talking out loud like I am right now because I don't want to bother people. But like I would be sitting there, I'd be like,
yeah. I know. I get the feeling. I know what you're talking about.
Like I would be talking in my head, but I'd still be like moving my hands, moving my mouth. I'd be like,
yeah, exactly.
And it helps. It really helps.
But I'm going to tell you something about the rubber duck. That's good when you're totally alone and you don't have the option. But I would go ahead with if you have the option of talking to somebody, it is a little bit better because people how do I say, like people kind of tell you or they actually comment on something that probably will lead you in a direction that you were not thinking about. If you're just with a rubber duck, you just mentioned it and there is no feedback. So you're still on your concentrated state. So you're just on that location and doesn't take you out of it. But if you don't have anybody to talk about, the rubber duck is a better idea than just typing code right there without.
So what you're saying is the best programmer is someone who has multi-personality disorder.
Kind of.
Actually, what I would say is and I'm gonna, of course, because it's me, in the sense of I have 40 friends that program in AutoHotkey that I can reach out and bug and say, hey, what would you do here, right? And it's being able to bounce ideas off of people, right? Is to me, right. Especially they don't have to be experts, but when they are, to Isaiah's point, they will contribute differently. Right. Sometimes you learn a lot of other stuff by people who don't know what they're doing, and you have a big aha moment because you're like, well, crap, I get it.
I was just right now, like, and again, just the fact that there's someone there sometimes makes you wonder what they would answer. So as I was talking to you, I was just doing this. If this happens, then highlight it. And I was like, oh my God, I have to find all the instances of that. I don't want to deal. And then I thought that you were going to say, well, the simplest way would do a loop. And just when I thought that, I said like, oh, if I change this if statement to while, then I solved the issue. And it was just because I thought that you were going to answer something along those lines.
It's actually, as incidentally, because I'm very introverted, right? And maybe people don't think that and realize it, but I truly am. And one of the things, I have several books on how to be a better, ice-breaking networking person. And one of my favorite tips was, hey, pretend you're James Bond, pretend you're somebody, an actor or whatever, a character. Like if you go to a party, pretend you're someone else. But it's kind of to your point, Isaias. Think about what that person would do in the situation or say, and it also, your brain actually, the brain is just an amazing thing, isn't it? It can,
Yes.
it can force your brain to work a little differently, and that might trigger the answer.
Yes.
And even like if the person's not a coder, I've done this a lot of times where I'll get someone who just, they know nothing about coding. I'll be like, hey, let me show you how this works. And, you know, it's very important depending on what you're developing for, you know, user interface. You know, to me, it's like, this seems so easy to use. Like you click this button, you click that button, like, boom, you're done. But to like some people, they might just be like, but wait, what do I do? Like, and user interface is so important because to us, we know what we made. We know exactly how it's supposed to work. So, and it might seem simple to us, but for some people, you know, I worked with people who were lucky to turn a computer on, you know, so I got to think of those people too, where I'm like, this is so easy, but they're like so confused by it. And that's honestly can be one of the hardest things is, you know, you're working with advanced people and then you're working with people who they use a computer because they're forced to with their job, basically.
Right. Yes, that's right. That's true.
So,
yeah, a good friend of mine, he was programming in Java for like 25 years. He's super advanced, right? And he's been a VP at companies doing, you know, over like 400 people and programming and stuff, but he's also in the weeds doing the work. And it is phenomenal because he can talk to me about whatever topic, you know, a non-programmer, and he can talk to the most advanced person about the same topic, but he adjusts his conversation, his vocabulary, you know, all the stuff to make it easy. And that's why I'm like, he is so brilliant in that sense. And it's an important thing to remember who your audience is, right?
Yes, that's right.
It changes everything.
and it can be even hard, even if you do know your audience, just the diversity that comes with it, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I've done that too, where I've been in meetings demoing something new, and I'll throw some technical stuff in there, just you know, for the people who do understand. But yeah, pretend you're talking to someone who doesn't know what a computer is sometimes.
Yeah.
And that can be so difficult and so easy to like kind of get away from.
Yeah, and actually, that was the point of the AHK Con, right? The conference we're trying to set up with AutoHotkey, and we have a rough outline now of, you know, what's going to be covered, but which I put the link over my head here.
Oh, there's a good question. I think there's two answers to this too, or an answer to it, but something also we should let him know about V1 versus V2.
And what is the question?
He said, when will I see a proper installer for version 2 beta? I don't think there's an answer for that right now, right?
Yeah, well, I would definitely just mention as soon as it is not beta anymore, that is the main. Yeah, as soon as it is the main AutoHotkey executable, then probably we'll have. Yeah, I think he's going to release it with installer already. Not really.
I would hope so.
Yeah, exactly.
We can hope though. But yeah, there's definitely no answer. I mean, it's been
no, he's the one that knows what he's gonna do in the end, but I would assume
it could be next week, it could be 5 years from now for all we know.
Yeah, there's no calendar.
So, but yeah, something I wanted to mention, me and Joe talk about this all the time. A lot of people jump in and to AutoHotkeys for the first time and they see, okay, version 1, version 2. Obviously, I want version 2 because that's the newest one, right? Well, it really depends on kind of like what your goals are. Version 1 tends to be really good for people who are very new to AutoHotkeys. Maybe that's all they're ever going to program in, just because it's just so simple. Where version 2 is more kind of laid out like more of the major languages out there, like JavaScript, Python, and everything. So it's more like structured, I guess you could say. But it does add a little bit of a more complexity too if you're brand new to coding.
A steeper learning curve.
Yeah, a little bit of steeper learning curve. So I know a lot of people just see version 2 and they go, oh, it's newer, I should get that. Plus version 2 is still in beta, so there's more of a learning curve there because stuff could change at any moment. Stuff could get added, redone.
It's easier to find support, to find help on the forum or everywhere. With version 1 that with version 2 still at this time. Yeah. Is my mic okay? I'm testing a new mic.
Yeah, no,
That's
sounds
good.
great.
Okay. Okay.
I can hear you very loud and clear.
Thank you.
But I don't
Taj
know.
is also asking about switching virtual desktop using AHK v2. Of course, you can use send. You can send hotkey to do that. I just don't remember which are these keys, and it will probably be the same solution for version 1 or version 2.
Yeah, that's what I didn't quite understand of why you would think it'd be different for using version 2. Do you mean the syntax would be different, or you want to? Because what I didn't understand was like, did you want it where, hey, in my normal desktop, I'm using version 1. When I switch to this other desktop, this virtual environment or desktop, I'm using version 2. Is that because I could see that being interesting, but I didn't know if that's what you meant.
I think he just wants to have AutoHotkeys where he pushes a single key and switches to his other desktop.
Well, there is a
just
built-in,
added,
right?
And just added, is there a function like Win Activate? There's no function like switch desktop.
No, but there's a built-in hotkey to switch the desktop.
Yeah. I'll say there's
Windows D
it's
is
like
the
free.
hotkey to go down. Yeah, Windows D to go down to the desktop directly.
No,
I think it's a switch between
No, switch virtual desktop.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It
Windows
is
Windows tab
control. Windows control.
Windows tab. You will see all the existing desktop. To switch
Right.
to the next desktop, there is another shortcut, but I just don't.
It is control Windows to the and the arrows. Control Windows to the right, it goes to the next desktop. And control Windows to the left.
You could just turn it into a single hotkey. That's the best you're gonna really get. It's just
yeah. But there is one. Yeah.
Clear presses.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you can name the virtual desktops. I've never really played with them.
Something that's been added recently.
I played with virtual desktops back when they first became a thing with, I don't know if anybody here's been around these Sun computers. Back when Sun OS was a thing.
Yeah.
They were like the first ones to do it. I remember thinking like, oh my God, this was like early 90s. I was like, this is the most amazing thing. Like, this is so advanced.
Yeah.
And now Sun computers are not around anymore. Either are Next computers.
Yeah.
I still have a Next computer somewhere around the house.
Yeah. So let's see.
Does anyone have any other questions to bring up? I see Dimitri is here. Hi, Dimitri.
Hi, Dimitri. And Irfan is there too.
Really cool stuff with version 2. Yeah, and Irfan does the Fadium.
I don't really have a question, but I can demonstrate a cool script that I've been working on.
I don't know if we want cool scripts. I'm kidding. Yeah, go for it. Any questions? Let's see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it might bring some questions about it. I do have a question, but
yeah,
I don't know if that's AutoHotkey related per se, but I will ask the question anyways. And it is in AutoHotkey, but I don't know if somebody knows about it. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I have several cool scripts actually. Let's see. First, Zoom is hijacking the top of my screen, so damn it. Okay,
it's interesting that I'm seeing more and more people using VS Code. Like they started with Notepad++, everybody, then they were like, and now that I see you guys, I see more and more like they're using VS Code.
Okay, I created a window inspector tool. Actually, it's a copy of one that I made for version 1, but it was interesting to see what I could do with version 2.
Okay.
And yeah, let's take a window. You can press here and then you can select a control, and it will collect all the windows. And the cool thing about it, what I was missing in a lot of other scripts, you can search for in it. For example, if I search for video, I only find the windows with video in it. You can say it has to be visible. it needs to have a title, for example. That's sometimes, yeah, if you want to see everything, then you unselect it all, and then you get all the crazy windows that the computer is running.
Are you using the ACC library for that?
No, because actually I haven't found a good ACC library for
In version 2, no.
for version 2.
Right, I don't know.
On the forum there was a post, but it didn't work for me because actually in my original script you also had a function to inspect the this control with ACC library to get more information for it.
Quick question then. How are you getting the information from the window then?
That's just the window list. You can just get it.
Okay, so you're using the window list to list all the controls inside that.
Yes.
Okay.
And with detect hidden windows, you can select if it needs to be hidden or visible, or maybe I check if the style is a specific style that also displays if it's hidden or not. And the cool thing about it's actually a copy or a rip-off of another script that I used a lot. Let's.
Before you continue with that part, so can you get the path to that control at this point or not?
The path of that control.
Right. So right now I do get the handle, which, by the way, just having the handle is really interesting because mainly when we're trying to get the path of a control, what we're trying to actually get is an ID of it, right? And we're using the path as an ID. But if I have the handle of it, like that's the most ID thing that you can get, right? Right. That's the
yeah. So, you have that. So, and I think you can click it. You can
focus it.
Get the styles.
Wow. Actually, this is really interesting.
You can make it transparent.
Yeah, of course. As soon as you have the ID, you can do everything you want to it because you can, now that you have that ID, you can do absolutely anything with it.
Actually, I use it a lot. I have a program at my company where there is an error and you get an error message, and behind it is another window, and it was you couldn't access it because the error blocks
the error
everything.
Message, right? Okay, and you had a way to get this
with this script, and then you can finally press the other window.
Now, you know what? What I would add to this, just at the bottom of the RGB right there, maybe a way to send messages to that control. Like you just the W param, L param, and a button to send, and you would send a message to it. That would be an interesting thing because now I could just select a control, send a message. Because there are some things that you cannot do without a hotkey, right? So AutoHotkey has a lot of commands that you can do, but there's some other things that you could do by sending a specific message. Like for example, in an edit control, you can send a message to select some text. So you could potentially, instead of using the set the cursor one place, set a range, copy the text, and those kind of things, you just send one message, find this word and highlight it in an edit control. And that you can do with messages, by the way. Not sure if that was actually clear what I wanted to.
Yeah, it's clear. But
right.
I was looking for another script that this is actually the original script what I copied from. I don't know if you use it. You know it?
I have never seen it though. No.
And it also has interesting things like here you can find the color.
Okay.
And the funny thing is I copied a lot of functionalities for it because you can select it and then you get the color.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I made it a lot quicker.
Oh yeah, I just noticed. Yeah.
It's one of the things that most people that stumble into AutoHotkey, first they start off going, hey, I can send a mouse click or I can do a hotkey or a hot string. That's cool. But once you realize how AutoHotkey can connect to the Windows API and manipulate current, GUIs and things, it's crazy what it can do. It really is.
Yes.
This is a really good demonstration, Dimitri, of very simply how you're doing it here. But the power of AutoHotkey is just crazy.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, and I also gave you some options to show or hide some things. If you want to have it compact and just are interested in the window information. But I really like the lists are very useful. I use them a lot. And I also add some extra options where you can do it, but it's a work in progress.
No, but it looks really good. Actually, at this point, it's really good. And I found it very interesting that you were not relying on the ACC library, that you came up with a very interesting solution to it. And for finding out specific controls, like that's great. Actually, very quick information and a lot of information, which is but some people might need just a little less information than that. They just need one or two things. And the fact that you made it so that it is optional, I don't want this list, I just want this basic information about the positioning and stuff, like that's great.
It also highlights the controls, and you can also set that off. So if it's annoying, then
yeah, I actually like that.
Yeah,
this is a very robust tool.
Or resizable. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you can make it a little bit bigger, so the lists are more visible. Right. Okay, that's that. And another thing that I was working on is this also actually a copy of an existing V1 script.
For creating GUIs, right?
It does more.
Oh, it copies the GUI.
The tab isn't working at the moment, so I commented out. So let's try it. And
you have kind of like a basic. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's a good start.
I've seen the version 1 of this. Yeah, it's
right. That's a very good start, because if I'm copying a window and at least the basics, you get it down and then just work a little bit less.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and now it looks a little bit crappy because the tab was not present. Wait, maybe I can just.
No, but I think it's mainly the window color. If you can set the window color to white, it would look. Oh, right. Oh, right. There you go. Because the tab is white. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Maybe I can even copy the images.
Yeah, very likely. Oh, well, not sure if you can get the location of that image. Maybe it's easier, but trying to figure out what image that is would be a little bit.
Yeah, I can just copy the image itself. That's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, indeed. Also, the names of the tabs, it's a little bit hard, but I found a V1 script on the internet that could do it. It's also used in the original tool that I made a copy of it, but I need to translate it.
Right. That's awesome. It looks really good.
And actually. Also, wait, we can also create a new GUI, and then you can
drag and drop. Looks really good.
Buttons. And here also, wait, yeah, the edit box isn't working probably, but then you can add some options. It's not perfect yet, but
it looks awesome.
Yeah, this looks great. Do you have it on like GitHub or somewhere yet with the link you could share?
Yeah, I'll create a GitHub, but I was working on it, and yeah, you want to make it because, for example, the events aren't in it yet, and if I compare it to the original V1 script, it is it's lacking a lot.
Yeah, no, yeah, because events in AutoHotkey version 2 work a little bit differently than in version 1. You have G labels and stuff like that to react to events.
The funny thing is, you know that I created
The converter.
a notepad.
Uh-huh.
A notepad.
Oh yeah. I remember. Yes.
Actually, now
you can clone it.
I just can clone it, and it even looks more to it.
A little bit better.
That's
It's
insane.
a little bit better than my version.
Yeah, that looks good. That actually looks good.
So based on the style, yeah, if you check some styles, you can set them automatically, and then and it also copies the whole menu. That's also
Really
nice.
good. Yes.
But not the functionality, of course. So it's just
No, you would have to. It is a shell, right? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And here, for example, what was it? In the edit, you have a style that removes the border or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was apparently a flaw in my script.
Mm.
But it's cool that the scripts that you're creating are better than what you're doing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's doing it.
And earlier, people asked about version 2 and version 1, and we talked about how, well, I don't think anyone mentioned, there's a crazy amount of libraries available for version 1 and scripts out there. But some of the cooler stuff that people are currently developing, and a lot of the more advanced, because as Tom mentioned, V2 is a little bit more kind of set for programmers. Some of the cool things that are being built in version 2. And it's one of those things that it's going to be interesting to see when that tide kind of shifts, where the newer stuff that's getting developed that people really want to play with is in V2. And so it's a good argument, I think, of why you really might consider switching to V2.
Right.
Yeah, but you have now already a GDIP library. That is kind of how you say, a milestone that you need to cross to make it more accessible for a lot of users. The ACC library, somebody should create one or convert it, but it's a lot of work.
Well, and because the ACC is deprecated, I mean, I would say, why not just start with the UI automation instead of the ACC library, even though I understand part of why, because no one's done it for the UI automation. It's easier to borrow what someone's done and convert it than it is to, really create something new, right? But yeah, so Taj did ask a question though. Can I use the send login user ID and password to a Java desktop app? I use Interactive Broker TWS, which is a Java desktop app, and I think the controls are in Chrome, and I want to send a username and password using AutoHotkey. So, of course, the short answer is sure. Right?
Yeah, you can do that.
With every tool, this is where it gets to be, it's like, okay, and I have a video talking about 17 different ways you can automate programs with AutoHotkey. Generally speaking, we try to start off with the most robust and ones that are going to work very reliably. If you can use Chrome, and that's what Irfan here has his Fadium library, which is now getting really some traction behind it, that might be a great way to do it. If it truly is using Chrome. If not, you could still do like an image search, or pot. I doubt controls. Do you agree, Isaiah, or anybody? Like I doubt controls would be able to populate it, but
yeah, it's going to be Electronian.
There's
application.
There's still the ACC library, which also you could use to get often the location of where it is, and then programmatically, send it there. Which would, I generally speaking, try not to use image search stuff. Right, that's my last resort. Even tabs, often get the first spot and then tab across to different places, and if you can programmatically get it into that first cell, which often you can, it's a far better way than doing image search.
Yeah, it's faster and more accurate than an image search or a pixel search.
Given the nature of what you're asking about, I'm pretty sure you're not sharing this with other people, and that's where, if you're using it on one computer and it's you, image search stuff can work okay. Right? It's when you switch across computers or people using different resolutions or having different, all this other stuff, that image search really starts breaking down. It can be reliable. It's my last resort personally.
Especially for things that are being shared with other people. That's where it really breaks down a lot. If it is just for yourself, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact unless you switch, I don't know, OS or monitor or other things. So there is where it would start breaking off.
So Irfan put in the URL for interactive brokers. I don't know if this is truly where he's actually trying to, pass the information. I don't know. Taj wants to confirm that this is the right link. Oh, he did. Thank you. Awesome. Isaias, you want to pull that up and see if? Let's see.
Let me double check.
Oh, this is for the API. Okay.
Well, and that's the other thing is if they have an API.
Yeah, very likely you will be able to just simply send stuff to it.
So it's right. It's a whole different approach, really, right? You're not programmatically interacting with the GUI. You're just going to mimic the traffic, kind of.
So let me see if I understand. So this API would need at least one function that allows me to pass username and password. If it doesn't allow me to do that, which there should be something about logging in up there.
Well, can we clarify? Because this is why I hate the term API. Is this an actual web service API or is this a programmatic API?
Well, this is the API. Yeah, it's a REST API REST. that is on. So the how do I say, like, in your case, the service that you're using is a web application. You said that it's Java, and I assume it was on your computer, but probably you're going to a website and using it. You're logging into a website. Okay, so you use a Python app to log in. Okay, it is a desktop app. I see the logging thing right here.
Why don't you share your screen, Isaias?
Right, let me just 1 second. Share screen.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's definitely an Electron.
Yeah, it is. And it looks like it has this logging into multiple applications. Now, this is just for grabbing your interactive brokers login and getting kind of like a token to logging into a different app, which is not what you're trying to do, I would assume. Right. Now,
that is correct. I'm trying to log in because once I start my computer, I have too many things open, and I'm trying to automate things so that I can take a coffee break and come back and everything is ready. So that is the reason it's a desktop app. I turn it on. It takes few minutes because it always updates the newer version. I have to wait. So once that is uploaded, I want to pass my user ID and password and click on OK to log in, because after login, it takes a minute to set up all my monitors and all screens, because I got multiple monitors and multiple desktops. So that is what I'm trying to accomplish by just sending a user ID, password, and click OK on that Electron desktop app. I hope now it is a little bit clearer than my text messages. I guys really appreciate all your help. Thank you so much for all the suggestions.
Yeah, so basically, and this is the part that I'm trying to kind of like grasp right now. So the desktop app is an Electron.js. What I'm not really sure is that when I send the username and password, I'm going to send it to that Electron app or to a REST API outside of it.
No, Electron app.
Okay, so to the Electron app. What we would have to figure out is if the Electron app has an API or not, because this REST API that I'm looking at is not for the app itself. There's something separate from it. So this API, this page would not help us very much.
You're correct. These APIs are only on backend to connect and get some
Exactly.
information.
That is
I
something
want
else.
to mimic manual login process to this desktop app. I don't want
Right,
to go
exactly.
API route. So
yeah,
we have some Python apps. We have a custom applications we have built which does that, but it does not start my desktop app. I want to log in and start my desktop app, mimicking manual entering user ID, password, and clicking on OK.
All right. So yeah, in that case, I think going with Refadium would be a good idea, because if it is electron.js, it is a Chrome window, okay? As it is a Chrome window, that means that I could use Refadium to actually automate some elements of that place. So your AutoHotkey script would launch your app, use Refadium to connect to the app, and then get an element, which would be, for example, where the username is, that would be the element that you want to get, and set a text to that element, and then set the text to the next one, and then click the sign in button. So it is a pretty simple app, because you just want to start your Electron app, connect to it, which I would assume Refadium might do, and Irfan is there, which might tell you if it does or doesn't. And after it connects, then just set the values and hit OK.
Can you send the link to Refadium, whatever you're mentioning? The only challenge is that I'm not able to get the element name and the window name of the login box, because it's happening under a desktop app and not under Chrome browser. So if it's a Chrome browser, I can.
So you don't know. Yeah. I understand what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. How do
we know? How do we know that particular?
Correct.
Well, so we can launch the app. The problem is then getting the element name.
Correct. That's where I'm stuck. That is exactly where I am stuck.
Okay,
if it's a regular Windows, I use Windows Spy to do that.
Right.
If it's a Chrome thing, I go to the Chrome
F12,
debug and do that.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm stuck, where it's a Electron app, and how do I get that window name and that login user ID, element name, and OK button? I can do the mouse location, assuming that it always opens in one place, but that's not the clean way of doing it.
Oh, no. Actually, this is the only way of you doing it. Refadium has a function called get element from XY position.
Well,
but hold on.
Why don't you demonstrate our tool?
Yes, let me do that, but I'm thinking about something else now, because Refadium would have to open an instance of that Electron thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how you're going to trigger that.
Right. Let me double check. But basically,
it's an app, right?
Right. But let me at least start with the Refadium. We did it with Chrome Learner.
Yeah, and Irfan, he was updating it to use Refadium instead of the approach we were doing. And he did some amazing work, and I haven't talked to him, so thank you, Irfan. It's looking awesome.
Right.
Happy with that.
Let me verify that I'm in the correct version right now. So I am.
And Todd, give me an idea. It sounds like you're fairly decent programming. You're not like an entry level. Does that sound right?
I used to be a programmer in my previous life.
Because that was what I was like. Hey, the stuff we're mentioning is, it's not simple, but that's awesome because it'll be easier for you to pick up.
And I have used your Udemy course also. So
cool.
Oh, awesome.
I started with all that.
Awesome.
Right. So basically, this is the tool. This is a Chrome window, and this is the part that is going to be a little bit complex, because we instead of a Chrome window, we need to get the Electron.
Get it to launch.
The Electron app instead of a Chrome window, which that is a question for Irfan. Is there a way for us to launch an Electron app with web drivers, which I'm not really sure if that is possible, but basically, once you drag here, the function that this is using to gather information about it is get the XY positioning.
That even Windows 5 would do that, right? XY position, even Windows 5 will do that simple.
It's not the same.
Okay.
It's not the same, because what we're getting from here is not a control ID or a control name, is actually an HTML element.
Got it.
So it's different. So once I get the element, now I can set values to it, retrieve values from it and stuff that with Windows Pi you cannot do, because Windows Pi just gives you an element that is a Windows element, not
so
a
by the
DOM
way,
element.
if you go to Electron.js website, there are a lot of very popular desktop applications built in Electron, like Slack desktop app is in Electron. So this would be very helpful for a lot of people who are using this desktop apps, and they don't even know that it's an Electron app. They just know it's a desktop app.
Exactly. Yeah, I think even Spotify is an Electron.
Yeah, it is that's an Electron app, correct?
Right, exactly. Right. So those are very big apps. So if we were able to connect or launch an Electron app with a web driver, I think Rufadium will work just fine. The question is Rufadium able to load a, so this is what I mean. This is the function that I was referring to. He's using the get node for location. And that is amazingly good, because now I'm getting an HTML element, and I could do stuff like get the outer HTML, the node ID and stuff like that. Now, if we were able to do that for an Electron app, then I think that is possible. Now, I don't have the answer.
I will try on my TWS app in a day. This weekend, I will let you guys know on a next
clarify, it's not an extension, correct?
No, it's not an extension. No.
Because Irfan was saying if it was an extension, that would work. Right.
No, so basically, I think Irfan does not have the idea yet of what an Electron app is, but it is kind of like a browser. It is a browser, right? It is a Chrome browser inside a sandbox that acts like an application. That's what it is.
So if you use any Windows Pi program, the Electron app will look like a Chrome page.
It is a Chrome page. Now, and it is just that sandbox is just there to allow that Chrome. Yeah, that's a Chrome app. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Now, if there is a way for Rufadium to launch a Chrome app and connect to it, which is the little detail that we're missing, how to connect to a Chrome app, then what you're asking is doable and really simple. The problem is connecting to it.
Connecting and getting element name.
Now he says like we need a URL. It is when you say
there's no URL. There's a desktop app does not have a URL. Nope.
Right. It is a desktop application.
Yeah.
So I think he hasn't actually seen Electron apps yet.
Well, you know what? You mentioned there's several on some page, right? Why don't we go look at one and play? Unless someone has a question.
Well, basically,
if you want, I can show my TWS app page and the login page.
As long as it's not privileged, I just want to be very careful not to share. Which
I'm just logging out from there first, and I will just show you the login page.
Right.
Where it stops, right? So it will.
So, incidentally, the UI automation tool I mentioned earlier, like that actually can often peek inside Chrome stuff as well. So if all else fails with what we're doing here, take a look for UI automation. You might be able to get it from there.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen where there is a login screen. And tell me what this is a login screen. And this is an app. So if I just close this and
we lost the
I'm just screen 2. I just want to show you what happens when I start the application. This is what happens. And actually, when I start it first time, it does a lot more things. It just updates all the software and everything. And then it comes to the screen. Now, how do I pass user ID, password, and click on login using AHK? That is what I'm trying to figure out. Sure. And I cannot right click on this. I cannot do anything like I could do on a browser.
I was going to say kind of like what Joe was saying, worst case scenario, does it target it if you use a Win Active? Like when it first launches, where's the cursor? What's highlighted? Can you tab?
Right.
So that's a fantastic point. So I have a hotkeys on this application, and I use Win Activate to set my pointer to that particular screen, because within this app, I got like 20 screens and I want to fire a hotkey on a particular screen. And if I just use this use this command for WinActivate, it will figure out. It will go to this page.
Yeah.
The title, window title.
If you go there for the first time and push like, I don't know, tab on your keyboard, you know, is the cursor like actually targeting something first?
Yeah, it is.
I can't see.
Yeah, it
showing.
did.
I just
First
see
time.
like a blue flower thingy.
The big blue. It looks like maybe it's the other Windows desktop maybe screen.
Yeah, I think you're sharing the wrong screen.
Background.
Is it? Okay, let me just go back.
Is Zoom a Chromium app?
Yeah.
It would be.
It is.
So
Team
I was just
also,
using
that's a big one.
my.
Well, not Chromium. It is it is an Edge. It is built on the Microsoft Edge.
Can you see my interactive
web
broker screen now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can. Yep.
So I can use WinActivate, saying that WinActivate login, and it will go to
Yes.
the screen unless there is no other window with login as a title. It will go to the first login as supposed to.
If you push tab on your keyboard, okay.
It is rotating everywhere.
Yeah. So
that's another way of doing it. Yes.
You send. So your code would just be send tab once, send your username, tab one more time, send your username, tab one more time, press enter or space bar.
How about the login button? So can you send some username and password text in there to verify if it shows up?
Just put gibberish.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just put whatever you want. Just add some stuff. Put the and now hit tab. Oh yeah, it's selected. So yeah, you could definitely use the send command to do this instead of connecting directly to the because
that seems like easy solution for now.
it is a very quick solution, right? So you first activate the window.
Yeah.
Tab, username, tab, password, tab, enter.
Yeah.
That should work.
Yeah, that I'm definitely gonna try that.
And it's decently reliable. You know, I mean, I hesitate to take this approach, but tabs work fairly well. You can cruise through pretty well.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you guys. This is fun stuff. This is fun stuff.
It is. Yeah, we enjoy it too. We got another 5 minutes here before we're at the end of the hour.
Whoever that was, here's the code in the chat. It can be done in one line. If you need to slow it down, you know, you can just add a set key delay or something.
But Tom, you gave us your username and password.
Well, the password, you know, just has a 1, 2, 3 at the end normally.
Did Tom? Did you have any questions on your channel?
Nope.
Okay.
Just people watching.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet. Have we checked the survey any time recently?
Yeah, I always check it before we launch. You know, that's every morning I always go and check and see if anyone's added anything.
Cool.
Thank you guys. You guys are all are awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Get the Everything is Awesome song and play it.
Awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
I guess copyright it. See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I guess we'll see you next week. And thanks all for being here. It went by fast. Bye, Dimitri.